Good evening and welcome to Second Chances with Pablo Agrio. It's good to be here. I would like to start out today by saying all praise and glory to God, man. It's good that I'm here uh, on the account of His only begotten Son, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I want to elevate this prayer, man, because I'm telling you, man, let God enlighten me, put the words in my mouth. All I'm trying to do here is educate and inspire. I'm not trying to create any trouble for anybody, let alone myself. I want to start by saying that, and also encourage those of you who are watching that if you like this program, to hit the like, the share, the subscribe button, and so that we can continue to have these conversations. The goal here is to talk about things that that are real, that that affect a particular segment of the population that other people don't want to talk about, and maybe if we can share these stories with one another, we may be able to find some solutions to some of these problems. And so that's all we're trying to do. uh, After last week's program, I received a notice from Facebook, uh, which is where I usually post the link for those who follow me on Facebook to watch the program. That I was being suspended for a couple of days because of something I said. The message wasn't really that clear as to what is it about the information that I shared was fell into that zone that caused them to question what I was doing. If you remember, or maybe you don't, if you're new to the program, I was talking about civil debt. Those uh, consequences that come from being incarcerated that people don't know anything about. People think that when you go to prison, you only get the sentence, you do the time, and you come back and everything is cool. But that's not the case. There's a lot more to it than that. And just as an example, in many states, once you become a convicted felon, you can't vote. You lose your right to vote, and there's a whole lot of other things. If you're interested, you can always go back to that program and take a look at it and see what we talked about. So we pray then that the Lord blesses us today, and that He puts the words in our mouth that will help the audience become familiar with maybe a subject matter that they don't think about too much, and that we don't say anything that is going to put us in peril and cause us to be suspended or taken off the air. But that reminded me of the fact that one of the major themes of the program up to this point has been talking about rights. The rights that are protected by the Constitution and by mainly by the Constitution, and the Civil Rights Act comes to mind also. And everybody's always talking about rights. I have the right to do this. This is my right, and that word is thrown around a lot. But we don't stop to think about, first of all, who enforces those rights, and what happens when the rights that we think we have are in conflict with the rights that other people think they have. And so and then what if the right that you thought you had is really not a right? For instance, you think you have the right to free speech, but you say something in public that other people don't agree with, and next thing you know, you're banned, you're canceled, right? And you say you have the right to bear arms, but sometimes having a weapon in your possession can bring about more aggravation than it does exercising the right to have that weapon. For instance, supposing you went out and you bought a gun legally, and you're carrying that gun in the glove compartment of your automobile, or maybe in your bag if you're a woman, and then you get stopped for some kind of traffic violation, and you're not thinking, you don't remember that you had the weapon there, and when you go reaching for your registration or whatever it is that they're asking for, and the officer sees the weapon, now who knows where that's going to go? You see what I'm saying? So where does you say you have the right to bear arms? Is it worth it? is it worth it in considering the times that we live in? So yeah, so today, to try to buy ourselves some time and keep it safe, I thought I'd talk about something a little different. Give the rights thing a little breather, and then maybe we'll come back to that at some future time if we can, pare it down to something a little bit more specific. So today, I wanted to talk a little bit about a situation that I have encountered. I'm now officially in the ranks of the senior citizens, and my generation is a generation that doesn't know much about computers, doesn't know anything about smartphones. We're trying to learn the hard way by trial and error, making mistakes left and right, and this is causing all kind of aggravation. So let me start with this premise. I just want to read something that I saw in this article that sets the table, and then I'll share some personal experiences that I have encountered here recently, man, that are causing me to lose a lot of sleep. And it has to do with internet fraud, scams. I run into this article that says uh, that there's data that shows that consumers reported losing nearly 8.8 billion to scams in 2022. 8.8 billion dollars. Yes, you heard that right. It says that consumers reported losing more money to investment scams, more than 3.8 billion than any other category in 2022. That amount more than doubles the amount reported lost in 2021. The second highest reported loss amount came from imposter scams, with losses of 2.6 billion reported. 2.6 billion. Okay. Uh, the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, received fraud reports for 2.4 million consumers last year, with the most commonly reported being imposter scams, followed by online shopping scams, prices, sweepstakes, lotteries, investment related reports, business and job opportunities. Uh, those were the ones that topped the list. But it's not just limited to that. You have, you know, other issues such as problems with credit cards, credit bureaus, banks, lenders, identity theft, which is a big one. Uh, and this is like a plague that is just destroying our society. And here's the thing, when these things happen to you, uh, you are in a state of panic because you're thinking that you're going to get wiped out, you're going to lose all your money, and you don't know where to go to get this money back. That's one thing. The other thing is you don't know who to call and report this to. Yeah, who is actually monitoring these things, patrolling, so to speak, or even making sure that you are safe and protected. We have shifted to a society that just about everything that you do nowadays, you have to do online. It's demanded. It's necessary. I mean, I know from personal experience that you can't go to any shopping center nowadays. I mean, you go to buy a pair of jeans, you get to the cashier. Next thing you know, they ring up your jeans, and now they want to know your phone number, and they want to know your email address. Initially, just a couple of years back, I didn't think much about that. I thought, well, this is the way business is conducted now. And so I was giving out my information freely. But after the experiences that I've had, which I'm going to share just a little bit of them briefly with you so you see what I'm talking about, I'm starting to wonder now, why can't we just go up to the cashier and just pay for the jeans or pay for the cologne or pay for whatever it is that you're buying and just leave the store? That's it. Nothing else needs to be said. You don't need to know my phone number. You don't need my address. You don't need my email address. This used to be just a straight transaction. It's not so anymore. And then the question then uh, becomes, when these people get this information from you, who has access to it? How is this information being used? I know that, once you leave a store and you give them this information, next thing you know, every day you're being bombarded with emails from these stores offering you some kind of deal. There's some kind of sale going on. You can't even open your phone when you don't see you have 50 emails that you haven't read. This is a problem, but this is the way of the world now. I don't know. I guess the younger generation doesn't see anything wrong with that. Uh, but the question that I have again is, why is this happening? Who is enforcing protections against this kind of thing? Who do you call when you are victimized by these scammers? You know, do you know? I mean, if you're listening to me right now, do you know that this kind of thing happened to you? So just give you an example of how this thing is become a nightmare that is causing so much aggravation and anxiety in my life recently. And I'll just talk about the most recent experiences. Recently, I woke up one morning and getting ready to go to work, and I open up my phone, and there's an email there uh, from somebody, some unknown company, uh, that says that they were going to place some kind of protection on my computer, and that it was going to cost me this much money, and that if I didn't want the service, that I needed to contact them right away so that they could refund me my money. Now, I'm not thinking straight. I just woke up, but I'm mad. First of all, I did not buy the service. I don't even know who these people are and what service they're offering. But it seems to me, by the way I'm reading the email, that they already went into my account and they took some money out of there. And I'm baffled by this. So of course, I follow the instructions in the email, not realizing that this is a scam, and that's exactly what they wanted me to do. And as soon as I made contact with them, I was trapped. And thank God my wife was listening to the conversation. And when I realized that they were accessing my real bank account now to have their way with my funds, my wife told me to hang up the phone and to get out of there and call my bank immediately and notify them that something was missed, and could they please make sure that nobody withdrew any funds from my account. Now, this, of course, resulted in the bank having to do all kinds of things, close the account out, give me a new account, et cetera, because this is the only way to protect yourself at that point. Otherwise, you're at the mercy of these, uh, criminals, because that's what they are. These are people that have nothing better to do than to sit back and think of ways in which they can, you know, go against the vulnerable and try to take advantage of them. So, uh, thankfully, uh, the my reaction, and the fact that I was able to call my bank right away and notify them of what was going on, avoided any major disasters with that. My funds was remained secured and what have you. But it was frightening. First of all, how did they get my email address? And then the logo on the email, which seemed to me at the time, without too much inspection, that it was in fact from a legitimate business, when in reality it wasn't. Now, I asked the question: has anybody out there, listening to the program, experienced something like that? And how did you protect yourself, or how do you protect yourself from that? Now, more recently, I'm preparing to go on a business trip out of town, and you know the airlines that I usually deal with don't travel to the places, or don't have flights to the place that I'm getting ready to go to. So I went on the internet, one of these search engines, and I punched in the name of a airline company that serves the area that I'm planning to travel to, and a whole bunch of you know hits came up. Some of them most of them, if not all of them, with the name of the airline company, and now which created confusion in my mind. I'm thinking that all of these, you know, links are related to the company in question. So, without thinking too much about it, I dialed the number, and person answers, and I asked the question directly. I said, "Do you work for this particular company?" And he evades he gives me an evasive answer, and he asks me, "Do I want to book a flight? What is my destination, etc., etc." And I say, "Wait, wait, wait, wait. Do you work for this company? Yes or not?" And he says, "Yes." So I'm saying, "Okay, now we're okay." So I go ahead and I provide him the information, and he does the transaction. And then at the end of the transaction, he says to me, "Your bank is going to call you to authorize this transaction. So when they do, just go ahead and say, yes, it's okay." Now I'm thinking, what's going on here? Why would my bank have to call me now to authorize this transaction? I've never heard of anything like that happening. But I say, okay, I did receive an email confirming the dates, times, and it looked legit. It looked legit. It looks like it was coming from the airline in question. And so I sit back now to watch television, thinking that I've done what I needed to do and I'm all set. Just got to wait for the date of the flight. A few minutes later, I get an email from my bank saying that they have detected suspicious activity on my account, and they want me to contact them immediately to confirm that that a transaction was authorized by me. So I'll get spooked. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I contact the bank, and here's where it gets even crazier. When I'm speaking to the banker now, I ask the banker if the company, right, that is doing the transaction, is it that legitimate company? Are these people in business? Can they verify that I was speaking to someone who is working for this particular airline? And the banker says yes. Yes, he says it's okay. We just wanted to make sure that you are authorizing the transaction before we go and approve it. So I'm thinking, okay, check, check. If the bank is telling me to call them to confirm that this is me, and then they're telling me that they recognize that the company is a legitimate company, what do I have to fear, right? So now, after I hang up the phone with the bank, my wife says to me, "Why don't you try calling the airline again and ask them if they can confirm that you have a reservation for this particular day and how much is the cost of the ticket?" So reluctantly, I do. I go to a different number now, a different logo and the search engine, and I call, and lo and behold, the person that answers the phone says to me that they are our agent for this particular airline, which the previous person did not. Remember, I had to ask them if they in fact work for this company. So I explained to the agent now that I'm dealing with what happened, and asked them if I have a reservation and how much is the plane ticket. It turns out that yes, I had a reservation, but I had overpaid by a couple $100 for the plane ticket, and the overpayment then was going to go into, of course, the bank account of the people who had answered the call the first time. So the agent says to me, "You need to dispute that. We're going to refund you the portion that belongs to us, and then you need to rebook the flight directly with us so you can save yourself the $200." Now, I'm telling you, man, this resulted, of course, in now cancellation of the credit card and having to wait now several days for them to send me a new credit card, then go through the process of investigating the dispute, which, by the way, if you don't know, this is something that you need to know. There's a difference between a scam and a fraud and authorizing a transaction that appears to be legitimate, but that you don't agree with. So one is a dispute that you're disputing the charges because you found out that you overpaid for something. The other one is a scam, like the one that I initially talked about, where you did not buy the service, but now they're trying to get you to, you know, open up the email so that they can then access your information, your bank account, and all this other thing, and then go ahead and defraud you of whatever they can get away with before you realize that you're being taken to the cleaners. Now, this thing happens over and over and over. As I started out the program, I related to you that, this is a staggering amount of money that is lost in these situations. $8.8 billion a year. Maybe 2023 is going to be even more than that. And I dare say, as we speak, as this program is airing live right now, as I'm talking to you, someone somewhere in these United States, especially a senior citizen like myself, is being roped into some kind of scam, and he's in jeopardy of losing all his savings, everything that he worked so hard for, or maybe that which he doesn't even have. And so, what are we to do about this? Really, what are we to do about this? More and more and more, we are being put in a position where we have no choice. If we want services, I mean, even, buying something that sometimes you think, okay, I need to get this particular product. Where do I go to get it? You go to a store and you ask the store owner, do you carry this particular product? Can I get it? Do you know who can? No. You got to go online, go to Amazon, go to one of these companies. That's how you got to get it. And of course, what that means. That means now you're doing a transaction blindly where you're entering information from your credit card, your security code, all these things, and you can only pray and hope that the company that you're doing business with, that there's some kind of security thing that they have in place, that your information is not going to get that it's not going to go in the hands of the wrong people. And so you proceed with the transaction on blind faith, thinking that, okay, I hope I get the product that I'm trying to buy, first of all, and that the information that I gave is not going to come back and bite me now through some additional fraudulent scheme that somebody's out there just waiting in the dark, trying to prey on you. And it begs the question, when something like this happens to you, who are you supposed to call and report it to? Now, we know if you get assaulted on the streets, you dial 911, you call the police, paramedics get there, police gets there, you file a report, maybe they'll apprehend the suspect, I don't know. But what about these cyber attacks, these things that are done online? You have no idea where these people are located, where they're operating from. Who do you call? There is no 911 that you can call. The article that I was reading regarding these situations says that the FBI is the agency that is, tasked with the responsibility of investigating these reports, right? They have I think it's a section or department of the FBI that is responsible for doing this. But I mean, what is the number? You probably have to go on the internet to try to find the number and then pray that you're calling the right place. And hopefully there's somebody that you can talk to, and they're not going to put you through a menu of things that you have to select from to see if you do get to speak to an agent about the problem. And then if you do get an agent to speak to, I mean, what can they do? What will they be able to do? Can they track down the wrongdoers? Can they put you back, make you whole again? Can they return your money to you if you lost any money? I mean, what are the chances that somebody's going to be prosecuted behind this? And more importantly, why is this allowed to happen? There seems to me like there's no regulation whatsoever about the kinds of people that are on internet, putting their information out there and then passing themselves as agents of companies that are legitimate companies, but that they don't work for. They're just trying to piggyback off these agencies, these companies, so that they can make money on their own of offering services that really have nothing to do with them. How do they have access to, for instance, if we're talking about an airline company, how do they have access to be able to book a flight for you if they don't work for this company? I mean, this is mind-boggling. Really, it's terrifying. But there you have it. You know, this is the world that we live in, and I don't know. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, and see what you think. What is happening in your state, in your particular neck of the wood? How are you dealing with this? You know, I mean, you can't go anywhere in the world nowadays that you don't have a phone, a smartphone. You don't have to search for something on the internet, buy something on the internet. I mean, my goodness gracious. I mean, if you don't have that, you're not going to get any service. You're not going to get anywhere. So there you have it. So that was the topic for the day. I hope that you found that informative. And I sincerely pray to God that I haven't said anything here in this program that is going to, that someone is going to find offensive or not in keeping with the platform that we're using. That is not our intention. We're simply here to help educate and assist others, and maybe commiserate a little bit, saying, this is the kind of things that we're dealing with at this age, and we don't really know, where to go for answers for these things, and whether or not these issues are going to be addressed anytime soon, and you know if we are in fact safe in with our identity and with our funds when we do these transactions. I will say to you this: be careful when you go out there and you start giving out your information willy-nilly to people that you don't know, or don't have any reason whatsoever to have your information. All right. So in the couple of minutes that we have left today, man, I just want to remind the audience that, to please, support this veteran author, man. Go on Amazon.com, Barnes and Noble, Lulu.com. Get your copy of my book, Uncle Willie. This is you know, a book that has a collection of short stories that were written for the purposes of dealing with mental health issues, anxiety, PTSD, that sort of thing. I'm a veteran. This is how we deal with these kinds of things. We write about them, we talk about them, so that we can heal, that we can cope, that we can manage our lives. So if you're a veteran out there, if you are someone that is dealing with anxiety attacks, with PTSD, please go get a copy of this book. Talk to me, reach out. Let's help each other, man. That's how we make it to the next level. And again, please share, like, subscribe. Hopefully we can get this audience to grow. If there's any subject matter, anything that you would like to discuss or know about, or something that interests you, please hit me up, and I'll research it. I'll give you my take on it. Let you know if I have experienced something similar and how I dealt with it. And, we'll try to help each other stay safe, man, because this is a dog eat dog world out there, man. There are people that we don't know hiding in the dark, trying to figure out ways that they can take advantage of us and create more aggravation. And it happens to everybody. Trust me, it happens to everybody. I don't know if the younger generation is immune from this, if they know a better way of doing things, if they're hip to what they need to do in order to protect themselves. We need to don't know these things, because those of us who didn't grow up in the computer area, man, we're struggling. All right. That's it for the day, man. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay safe. God bless. Until next time. Peace out.